Hey everybody, welcome back. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the Steam Deck. I got the Steam Deck early. It is the 24th as I record this. The actual emails will go out tomorrow on the 25th for people who are the first in line to be able to purchase it. Valve sent me a review unit, which is super awesome. So big thank you to Valve and big thank you to everybody who advocated for the channel to get a Steam Deck. We really do appreciate it. But I just want to be completely transparent. I didn't pay for this, but it's not an ad. That being said, let's jump right in. Today's episode is all about the UI of the Steam Deck. And when you talk about the UI for the Steam Deck, there's two UIs. There's the first UI, which is what I like to call the on-deck experience. And then there is the desktop experience. And the desktop environment, I'm not going to talk about today. That'll be a different video. So make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications by clicking the bell so that you get notified when that next video comes out. Let's jump in with the on-deck environment. You can see right here that I have the Steam Deck and I'm at my home menu. So real quick, we have our touch pads on the left and the right. On the back, we have our extra, where are they? We have our extra paddle buttons, and honestly, the feel of this device is absolutely fantastic. The thumbsticks are in the absolute perfect place. I love where the buttons are on the back. The trackpads, I was a little worried how those were going to feel reaching down to get access to those, but I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. And then the face buttons and the D-pad up here on the side are incredibly comfortable to get to. I think that it is an incredibly well-designed unit. The only inputs that I'm not a fan of are trying to reach up and hit the start menu and the view menu. Those are both kind of rough to reach, but overall, I think that this is pretty awesome. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this into my capture card so that you can see the experience without trying to squint at this and, you know, looking from far away. So let me go ahead and plug my capture card in here. And you'll see the screen turn off. And I'm going to switch this over to direct capture. All right. Now, what you will notice, because you were just looking at the Steam Deck a minute ago, is that the UI on here is a lot more high resolution. And because of that, like, the layout's the same, but you can fit a lot more on the screen because I'm looking at this on a 4K monitor. That being said, let's jump in and first off talk about these two buttons that are down here on the Steam Deck. So on the left, we have our Steam button, and on the right, we have our quick access button. The first thing that I want to do is show you a cool little tutorial that they talk about when you open up your quick access menu. So I'm going to open up the quick access menu. I'm going to hit the replay guided tour. So it says here, welcome to Steam Deck. Before you begin playing, let's take a quick tour of the device. Press any button or tap the screen to continue. So I'm going to go ahead and press a button. And it says press any button or tap the screen. Down on the bottom left, it says this is the Steam button. Press to access your library. Okay. And if you hold and press it, it's going to show you a bunch of shortcuts, which we'll get to in a second. Over on the right, we have our quick access button. Like I said, this is the one with the three dots on it, or the ellipses button. And that's going to bring up your friends list and as well as some quick settings that I'll show you in a little bit. Up on the top, you have your power button. That's, if I bring this up on screen here, that's the wrong button. Right up here is the power button. If you push this button, it'll just shut off. If you hold the button, it'll show you the power menu. I'm not going to do that right now. We'll get to that at the end, perhaps. And then we have the volume buttons up here on the top and bottom. And if I turn it up or down, you can see that it is changing there as well. All right, so that is our little guided tour, and now it's telling me to put in an SD card if I want to, which I'm not going to do right now. And then it says have fun. All right, so we are back to the main screen. Let me bring that back up. And we're going to start with the shortcuts. So if I hold the Steam button, you're going to see a bunch of shortcuts. This is kind of small, so I'm going to probably zoom in on this so that you can see it a little bit better. But when you're looking at this on the actual Steam Deck, it's not nearly as small. It's just because we have a very high resolution display that it's hooked up to. Okay, so Steam plus B long press will force a game to shut down. So we've all used PCs before. Games hang. If you hold down the Steam button and then long press B, you're going to shut the game completely down from like all the way, and then you can restart it. That way, if something messes up, there you go. If you need to bring up the keyboard, it's holding Steam and X. Steam and L1 is the magnifier. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. That is absolutely huge and awesome. I'll show you that one in a little bit. You can take a screenshot with the R1 button. Right mouse click and left mouse clicks are soft pulls on the two triggers. That surprised me to see that, because when you look at the Steam controller, let me bring this back up on the screen here. When you look at the Steam controller, it had a dual action triggers. So you could pull a little bit and then there was a little click at the end. Now these don't have dual action triggers, but they still have the soft pull and the full pull, which I think is really, really fantastic. All right, we bring that menu back up. If we do a Steam, and the right click is going to give us a mouse click, and Steam and left thumbstick up is going to change the brightness. You can also change the brightness back down, and if you need to hit the escape key for some reason, it's Steam and left on the D-pad. Overall, I think it's awesome that they had those shortcuts in there, keeping in mind that this is a PC and sometimes we need PC abilities. Let's bring up the Steam menu on the left-hand side. You usually can't see the whole thing, but because we're on such a high resolution display, it's going to show all this stuff. I'm already at the home, so there's no reason to go there. If I go to my library, it's going to show me all of the games that I have, and you're going to see on the left, we have Great on Deck. These are games that are obviously verified. If I go to all games, these are all of the games that are in my library. Now, this is very cool. If I hit the X button, it's going to come up with a way for me to filter the games that I can use on the Steam Deck. I can choose to do verified games only, verified and playable, verifiable, playable, and untested, or all games. I think that that's fantastic. And I have no reason to do all games because that's going to show me games that are unsupported. So I'm just going to leave it on verified, playable, and untested. And I think over time, this is going to get more and more curation. Then, of course, we have our games that are installed. I've installed these games on my Steam Deck. These are the ones that I was most excited to play on here. Well, that's not true. There's some other ones, but they're huge, and I just didn't have time to install them. We have our favorite games. This is really cool. I didn't make this list on my Steam Deck. I made this list on my PC, and as soon as I signed in, it was there, which is awesome. You have the collections that you have, and then your non-Steam games. Now, when you get your Steam Deck, if you want to play games through the browser, like on Stadia or GeForce Now or Xbox Cloud Gaming or any other cloud gaming access thing that you would do through the browser, you have to install Google Chrome. I already did it, so I can't show you that, but it's so easy. You just come over here to the non-Steam section, and it'll give you an option to install Google Chrome. You click it, and then you wait, and then you're done. So it's pretty easy. Now, have I tested Stadia yet? No, but I'm going to in a future video, so make sure that you subscribe so you can see all that stuff. Let's go back to our menu. There's the store. The one thing that I want to point out about the store is it loads in with the games that are best on deck. And it looks like it's struggling a little bit to figure out what to do with my high resolution display. I did get an email where they were explaining that this is still like the software is still being worked on, and we should expect a lot of updates for a while. But you can see right here under featured, we've got a bunch of games that are featured for the Steam Deck, which is very, very cool. And these are games that are considered great on deck. If I scroll up, Well, here, I'm just going to unplug this for a second. And I'm going to switch over to this camera. So I'm on the... Yeah, here we go. All the way at the top, it says Great on Deck. And then we have Store Home, Categories, Search, and Wish List. So Store Home takes me to what we usually see with Steam, and there's tons and tons of games there. So that's all of the games. But the Great on Deck are the ones that are verified, which is very, very cool. I'm going to re-plug this in. Where's the button? There we go. There's certain things that just don't work well when it's plugged in yet, but I think that that's going to be a non-issue at some point in the near future. Okay, we've got it plugged back in. Let's open up our Steam menu. We've got Friends and Chat, and as you can see here under Friends and Chat, we have your favorites. Your entire friends list is listed right there. Whoops. And then you have group chats. There is a Nerd Nest group. Maybe I'll put a link in the description down below if you're looking for being able to talk to people on the Steam Deck. And then you have your recent chats. I'm going to hit the Steam button again. And we're going to come down here to Media. And you've got your screenshots and stuff that you've taken. These are really old screenshots that just auto-populated in here when I signed in. Like, I did not take these screenshots on the Steam Deck. These were just on my account. And as soon as I signed in, it put all of them in here. Obviously, this Marvel Heroes Omega is a game that you can't even play anymore because it was shut down. So I did not take this screenshot today, but it's awesome that it's there. And let's go back to the Steam menu. And we're going to go down to downloads. I want to talk real quick about the downloads. It takes a really long time to download games. A really long time. I have pretty fast internet, and I would say that the fastest that I was getting was 10 kilobits per, or 10 megabits per second, which, is that right? Actually, it says right here, the peak that you can't see because my face is in the way. I'm just going to move my face for a second. The peak was 37.1 megabits per second. It did not operate at 37 megabits per second. Most of the time it was around 10, which is pretty slow. So it took a really long time to download games like Monster Hunter Rise and Destiny 2. That's irritating, but not a big deal. I can be patient and wait for a game to download if need be. Then we're going to go to settings. There's a lot to show you under settings. Obviously, I'm not going to go through every single setting because if I did, this video would be forever long. I'm just going to go through the most important ones. Okay, this one I think is a big deal. Under here, we have Steam Play. It says enable Steam Play for supported titles. And then here we have Proton 7.0 to 7.1. And if I click on this, you can choose different versions of Proton. So if you get a game that's not working properly, you can switch to a different version of Proton. So it's really important to figure out which version of Proton you want to use for a particular game. That being said, I'm going to say that Valve has probably thought about this, and the correct version of Proton will be selected for games that have been verified. I'm sure that there will be websites that'll tell you which ones you're going to want to use. And I'm sure that the most recent version of Proton will almost always be the right move. But the fact that you can go back and choose different versions of Proton is absolutely fantastic. All right, let's go down to System. And here we have a bunch of information. Nothing in here that's super important. I'm just going to go through all of this. You do have a factory reset all the way at the bottom. And if you go all the way up to the top, that's where you go for your software updates. And I'm going to have to remember to block out my serial number there. You have your internet, which I'm using Wi-Fi. There's obviously no Ethernet, which would have made downloading all of this stuff a lot faster. You can very granularly adjust your notifications, which I think is very fantastic as well. Under display, I have adaptive brightness turned on, so there is a in-system sensor that senses how bright the room is that you're in, and I have a bunch of lights on to make this brighter in here, so it's got the brightness cranked all the way up. There's also, this is really cool, whoops, there's also night mode, which I think is fantastic. Look at this, it's going to turn everything kind of an orangish color, almost gets rid of that blue light, which, you know, what from what I understand is bad for you if you're looking at blue light before you go to sleep. So I like that they did that. I'm going to turn it off though, because I really like the way that the blue looks. And you can also change the night mode tint, like how much of it, what color of a tint do you want? Do you want it to be more cool colors or more warm colors? There's an advanced view in here, so you can change all kinds of stuff about the night mode, which I think is fantastic. You can also set it up to automatically dim the display depending on what you're doing. Let's go over to, let me bring that back up, settings, and I want to go to audio. One thing that I did notice on here is that under audio, when you are talking to somebody on voice chat, so like I did a voice chat with somebody earlier and through Steam, and I was unable to find a good balance where I could still hear them and hear the game at the same time, but I also was not wearing headphones. And I think 99% of the time, people are going to be doing this with headphones, so I think it'd probably be okay. I just didn't have headphones handy that have a headphone jack because all my stuff is wireless. So I'm going to have to get a pair of headphone jack headphones for this. All right, I keep hitting the wrong button. Bluetooth, you can connect things via Bluetooth. I connected my Steam controller earlier. You can see that it's not connected right now, but it should come up and be connected now. And as you can see, it is. So, and then you can see which controller are you looking at. Am I looking at the Steam Deck or the controller number 1? And I can turn on Rumble or Steam Haptics. And if I go to the Steam Deck, I can turn on Rumble or Steam Haptics. And I can even test controller inputs, which I'm not going to do right now. And I'm going to shut this off because I don't need it right now. And actually, that's something that I did not know. Let me turn this back on. What you'll notice is like I'm using a Steam controller here, right? And the Steam controller does not have the Steam button or the quick access menu button. Now, I don't know how this works, but if I hold down the Steam button in the middle, it brings up the little shortcut menu. So you can still do a lot of those shortcuts with your external controllers, which is fantastic. How do I bring up the quick access menu on this? I don't know yet. Let me try holding the start button. No, that didn't do it. Anyway, I'm going to turn off my Steam controller and we're going to move on to the keyboard. This is the 512 version, which means it does come with a fancy keyboard or something. I don't have that yet because I'm unable to claim the fancy keyboard. That being said, I'm assuming that I can't claim the fancy keyboard because it's not out yet. Like this system is, I have it early, so that's probably why the only keyboard that I have access to is the default theme. And if you want to bring up the keyboard so you can see what it looks like, there it is. That's not what it actually looks like when it's plugged in. Let me switch this off and go back to the Skycam and bring up my keyboard right there. There's the keyboard. Looks nice. I think I've seen pictures of the keyboard that comes with the fancy 512 version. It looks really cool. I really like the way that it looks. We're going to go down to friends and chat. You can group up your friends and stuff like that. There's nothing super important here, so I'm not going to look at that right now. Downloads, you can schedule your auto updates so they only happen at certain times. That being said, when you turn off the Steam Deck, the Wi-Fi shuts off. And I'm not sure if there's a way to keep the internet connection when this is turned off. I turned it off and went and ate dinner, and when I came back, it wasn't downloading anything anymore. So that's something to keep in mind. Hopefully it's an update that comes in the future, or maybe I did something wrong. You can work on family sharing on here, authorized library sharing on this device, which is awesome. You've got remote play, so you can pair your PC and stream your game directly from your PC to the Steam Deck. I will do a video that shows how that works in the near future, so make sure you subscribe. We've got storage on here. You can see what games that I have installed, and you can see all of the empty space that I have, which is fantastic. I also have, I don't know where it is. I thought I had an SD card in there, and I do not. So I'm going to have to find that SD card and put it in there. But when you put an SD card in there, it shows right on this screen what's on there. Oh, and let me go back to settings, and we go to system. On here, when you have an SD card, you can format your SD card right there. And this is where you enable developer mode, which I'm not going to do right now. All right, so that's storage. Your home settings, not a whole lot here. Basically, you're saying, show me ads and stuff for video games that I might like. And then if you get a code like from a third-party reseller or something, you can add it right there. All right, so that is the Steam menu. So now I've moved my camera around so that we can actually see what's underneath where my face was for the quick access stuff. First off, when you bring it up, on top you have your notification. So if a notification comes in and you're in the middle of a firefight or something, afterwards you can come back and look and see what was that notification and get to it pretty easily. You can see your friends list on the right-hand side. So it's a little easier to get to on the quick access menu, which I like that they have that there. And then you have your quick settings. This is very, very important because Valve says their 2 to 8 hours of battery life that they talked about was at 50% brightness. So if you're going to be more hands-on with your battery, you're definitely going to want to pay attention to your brightness, because screen, absolutely, the brighter the screen, the faster it's going to burn through your battery. You can also switch over to night mode here, and I can turn that on or off right there. You can turn off Bluetooth if you want. You can switch on airplane mode. If you're playing a single player game, there's no reason for you to have Wi-Fi turned on, so you can turn all that stuff off. You can adjust the volume of both your microphone and the speakers right there. Now, this is an incredibly important little menu right here, and that is the battery performance window. Number one, there's the basic view. I keep wanting to use the, hold on, let me bring that back up. Oh, okay, I couldn't find where it was. Okay, so you have your performance overlay level. I'm going to leave that off for now. Maybe that'll be another video in the future. I don't want this video to get too far. So you have basic view and advanced view. If you go into advanced view, right here is where you can limit your frame rate to 30. So you don't have to go into every game and go into a specific game and say, hey, don't go past 30 frames per second if you're trying to conserve battery. You could just do that with the quick access menu very quickly, which is awesome. You can also do the same thing with the TDP limit. You can turn that on and reduce how many watts you're going to be using, which is fantastic. You have manual GPU clock control. You have scaling filtering right here. You also have performance overlay in Steam, so you can turn that on and see some stuff on there. And then you have some diagnostic stuff. So like it says it's going to be about 46 minutes until I have a full charge, which is really good to know. And then you have your manual, the guided tour that I showed you at the beginning, and the help site, which is all very useful stuff, but I'm not going to get into that today. All right. Now I want to show you a couple of cool things without the direct capture. So first off, let's disconnect that, and I'm going to switch over to here. And what I want to do is I want to open up a game. So I'm going to go to my library, and actually I'm going to go to home. And under home, I'm going to load up Valheim. And one of the things about Valheim that is really important and interesting is right here. It says game info. And if I tap on that, it says it's playable. And if I look at details, it says some in-game text is small and may be difficult to read. Well, check this out. I'm going to go ahead and load up Valheim. And it's going to load up. And first off, it tells me right here that it's using a template layout. So it automatically detects if there's a template available and tells you that you're going to be using one, which is awesome. And this is really cool because once the game loads, you're going to see some text that is extremely small and hard to read. Let me turn this down. Okay. Right down here, we have very, very hard to read text. And if I want to see that, then I'm going to want to use that Steam button. I'm holding that down, and it's going to bring up the shortcuts, which are not showing up right now. There we go. And one of those is L1, which is the magnifier. Now, if I do that, it just zooms in, right? You see that? It's zooming in for me. And then I want to read that text. I can just use the touchpad on the right in order to see that text and read it. That is really, really awesome, and I like that a lot. Let me switch over to another game. I'm going to go ahead and close this game. And I'm going to load up Terraria. Now, I have not played Terraria on this device yet, but when I load games, usually they give you a little piece of information at the very beginning. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and load up Terraria. Oh, it's not installed. Okay, I guess I'm not going to load up Terraria. I will have to load up Stardew Valley, which is installed, and I have not yet played it on this device. And let's see what it shows us. Oh, it said it for like a split second, but then it jumped right in because the game loads so fast. I didn't even get to see it. Well, that's okay, because I want to show you something. All right, I'm going to hit the Steam button, and I'm going to come over here, and it shows the controller layout right there, so I can see all of that stuff. And look at this. Gyro as mouse when I've got my thumb on the right stick or the right pad touch. I'm assuming, the right trackpad is the right stick, or is a mouse, and it has a right stick click. So I'm going to load my game. This is my game from my PC from forever ago. Let's see. Oh my gosh, look at that. There's a little, I did not know that this was going to happen. I bring this up, and it's showing me all of the different things that I can use. I wonder if this is default or that is my old Steam controller thing. I'm not sure. That's interesting. Let's load that. All right, so you control your character with the D-pad. If I want to use the sword, which is in my third slot on here, I go to 3 and it selects the sword. I love the way that this is set up, and I'm probably much more likely to play Stardew Valley because I always felt the controls were definitely more for a mouse and keyboard kind of thing, but I don't like mouse and keyboard games all that much. So this is fantastic. Oh, you know what? Let me go up here real quick. I want to see if this works. I've opened this up. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to try and use the touch screen to grab something from this chest and put it in my inventory. Okay, I can just tap on items to move them. Clicking and dragging doesn't work very well. Oh, that's just the way the game works. It's no good with clicking and dragging. It's just a tap kind of thing. But that's super awesome. Let's close the game real quick. And I'm going to load up Valheim. Now, here's a question, and hopefully you guys know the answer. I don't know what it's better, if I should play Valheim or play Valheim using Vulkan. I know that Vulkan is like, this is the dumbed down version. It's DirectX for Linux. I know that that's not necessarily 100% true because you can use it on Windows. But since this is a Linux device, maybe it'll work better on Linux. Oh, you can see the template right there. Not for very long because the game loaded so fast. Now, here's the question. The thing I was wondering before, can I just use my finger on the touch screen in order to drag something between boxes in my inventory? Because inventory management in Valheim is a huge pain. On a controller, it is. On a mouse and keyboard, it's obviously fine. Well, we'll find out in just a second. All right, can I don't know how to open this. It says press E to open. So let me open this up. And how do I... All right, L4. L4 is the top one. So I'm going to go L4, and I'm going to add keyboard E. All right, the moment of truth. Can I drag something from my inventory into this box? You can, but it's a little kludgy. So maybe that will improve. You gotta click, you gotta tap. Tap. That's actually not too bad. Tap. Tap. Inventory management in Valheim on a touchscreen. Fantastic. Anyway, I can sit here all day and continually show you more and more stuff, but I'm going to have to save that stuff for another video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and thank you to Valve for sending this along. More videos to come, so make sure you click on that bell and hit subscribe, maybe in the other order. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.